Okay, so I've mentioned it before, I'm a big fan of Satoko Shinashi from Japan. Been fighting since about 2001 and is still going. So this time last week she was competing in DEEP Impact 90. Since about 2006, Satoko has been competing in a lot of the DEEP events in Japan. So her martial arts record consists of about 34 wins, 2 losses and 2 draws. She's a specialist grappler. She's proficient in Judo, Sambo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Her striking techniques are quite good as well. But I think I know her best for her Judo techniques. She's won many titles over the years and she's also had big absences from her fight career. Again, she's a mother and I believe she was having some health issues not too long ago, of which she got herself back into shape quite quickly. Boom. Also well known for her positive demeanour and that big smile. Now last Saturday, Satoko Shinashi was matched up against Madoka Ishibashi. Now Madoka hasn't had a big mixed martial arts career as yet. I think she has about 5 or 6 fights under her belt. I believe that she's also significantly younger than Satoko. So I wasn't too well versed in who Madoka Ishibashi actually was. So I did a bit of research and I found myself watching a few of her previous weigh-ins. And they're quite comical. I love a sense of humour and, well, let's hope this is a sense of humour because a lot of these weigh-ins she's acting very, what would you call it, a blend of kawaii, sort of cutesy Japanese, blended with a bit of psychotic behaviour. Very theatrical, and I love theatrical. Doing a bit more digging and I found out that she's actually a pro wrestler in Japan as well. So that's possibly why the theatrics. And again, nothing wrong with that. A lot of people do have a problem with theatrics in martial arts. And that's fine, everybody has their opinion and everybody likes different stuff. The same goes for music. I mean, some people like theatrics in their music, others don't. Now DEEP 90's fight card was quite large. Their fight was number 7 on the list. For those of you who aren't well versed in what DEEP International actually is, it's a mixed martial arts promotion that was founded in Japan in 2001. It's promoted by Shigeru Saiki, who is also the former public relations director for Pride Fighting Championship. Normally using a ring, it wasn't until 2009 when they started using a UFC style octagon. Now DEEP is huge in Japan. I think at one point they tried to promote it overseas, I think Hong Kong or Macau, and tickets didn't sell all that well, so their events stayed in Japan. So DEEP's Jules events, formerly Smack Girl, feature a large selection of female mixed martial artists. You've got the girls' S-Cup tournaments, you've got the shootboxing girls tournaments, you've got fighters like Rena Kubota who have come out of these leagues, you've also got people like Mei Yamaguchi who's come out of a few of these fights as well. Now I saw the weigh-in for this fight with Madoka Ishibashi and Shinashi Satoko, and it was quite hilarious. You see with some of these weigh-ins where Madoka is kind of doing this psychotic, I don't know what it is that she's doing, take a look at this. Some of the fighters don't quite know how to take her. Some of them looking very stiff and very wooden cardboard next to her. She's doing all these weird ass poses. It's hilarious. I like it. She also does these weird poses before fights coming out. Clearly Satoko Shinashi was having a good time with this. She was having a bit of a laugh. It was a funny sort of light-hearted weigh-in. Now, unfortunately, I haven't been able to get a copy of the fight from last week. For some reason, it's quite scarce. But I do know, and as the results are, spoiler, Satoko Shinashi had won by armbar in the first round. Satoko Shinashi has worked hard to get back into shape recently. She's also a veteran of the sport. Madoka's still new in the game. Hopefully she gets some more fights, and hope to see a lot more of her in the future. And I don't care what those haters say about her doing her weird thing. I mean, I like weird shit, you know, so keep it up. So I was hoping to do a little reaction viewing with fight. Unfortunately, we don't have the fight. So we're going to go in a different direction with Satoko Shinashi. First time that I'd seen Satoko Shinashi in a fight was with Hisae Watanabe. Now, Hisae Watanabe has been one of my favourite mixed martial artists for a very long time. Again, she's been fighting since about 2002. Her record goes about 19 wins, 11 knockouts, 6 losses. She's definitely also a veteran in her sport. Her style is very hands-on. She's very proficient in kickboxing and striking. Some people have a bit of a problem with her stance and the way she fights. Some people may say she looks a bit clumsy when she fights, but the results speak for themselves. She may look a little bit clumsy at times. Her arms might be down when they should be up, but all these knockouts and all these wins definitely speak for something. She definitely stands out with her leopard print outfit, with hair colour to match. Clearly I'm a big fan of leopard print. It's very 1980s hard rock and or metal. So like, yeah, I like that look. Even though she's getting on a bit in age, she's still competing. And she's still stuck to that dress code, which is good. A lot of people don't quite understand why. When you've got, Miss Plain Jane fighting against Hisae Watanabe, people kind of wonder, like, well, why is she wearing that? Well, that's her thing. And she's doing something different. That's why I'm a fan. She was featured as a bad guy in that Japanese film High Kick Girl. She's one of the main henchmen towards the end of the film. She does a really great fight scene. Previous to her mixed martial arts career, she was a very successful kickboxer, which also translated well into what she was doing. She had quite a good winning streak, including wins in Pancrase. We talked about Pancrase in another video. Now, even though she does have a few recent fights, she is more or less retired. In 2009, she was set up to have a fight with Rina Kubota. Rina Kubota recently has competed in Bellator MMA. She had a return of sorts to her kickboxing career. And let's also not forget that she's married to a Japanese comic book artist. Hisae Watanabe and Satoko Shinashi have had very much like a rivalry sort of thing. So again, me being very much into obscure stuff, I was always a big fan of this rivalry between the two girls. I always found this a fun aspect of the S-Girls Cup, the Deep Impact. So it gave me a brainstorm. I've got a whole bunch of these fights on video, and I just don't get to watch them. I mean, who gets to really sit down and watch 20 fights by Satoko Shinashi? You've got them in the collection, but you've seen them once, and then unless you want to really reference something, you don't go back to it. But they're great fights, and it's not often that I get a chance to relive some of these sporting moments, and it's just a shame. So I thought to myself, why don't we use a bit of time travel here? Revisit some of these fights with Satoko Shinashi and Hisae Watanabe, and then the build-up to where they finally encounter each other. There have been different outcomes between their matchups in the past, and it's quite interesting to see this. Two very successful fighters, when they had their first encounter, the outcome ended in a submission. Both Hisae and Satoko moved on from there and had a lot of successful fights afterwards. And then there was this big lead up to the next fight, which ended in a knockout. Quite a destructive one at that. So let's have a look at some of their fights. We'll get our time travel cards ready. We'll go back to 2002, where we're going to relive one of Satoko Shinashi's first Smack Girl fights. And then we'll also have a look at one of Hisae Watanabe's fights as well. So until then, and of course there's more Kabuki Fox miscellanea being uploaded all the time anyway, so be sure to check that stuff out too.